Lauren Riddick, and I'm so excited that you're here. And we're with our Homes and Loans podcast, making a positive difference through collaboration. And this is a very special guest for me. This is Jim Riddick, James Gerald Riddick, my daddy, aka Coach Riddick. What's going on, Dad?
Oh, no. Same old, same old.
I heard that. I think we're supposed to get a picture. We'll do that in a minute, but we can go ahead and do a handshake right there. Hey, no, this is my daddy, and man, we're gonna have a good time. And Dad, I appreciate you coming. Now, those of you that have, I don't know where we're gonna air, but my mom, Edna, we got kind of the little more outgoing personality. Dad's cool hand. Just main thing is not get excited. So we appreciate Dad coming in and shoot, man. I promise not to make you too uncomfortable, Daddy. Coach. Mr. Riddick, Jim. Hey, it's Daddy. Let's talk about. Let's see. You were born in '39. That makes you a young little 85-year-old.
85 years old.
I got some good genes, boy. Mom 83, Dad's 85. Been married to that little girl from Alcoa, Springbrook, for 65 years. Huh?
Long time.
Long time. And got me as your son. You got Laura, your daughter, and three grandbabies.
Three grandkids.
Three grand dogs.
Yeah.
Well, Dad, let's talk about the early days. You were born down in Tellico. Rafter Mountain. That's way back there. I tell people that's like when they're watching the Beverly Hillbillies and Jed Clammett's out shooting and the oil comes out of the ground, everything but the oil. It was very rural.
We had to pipe the sun in. It's so far back. Last house in the country. Yeah.
Last house. And we have been, it's to this day, it's still the last. Now, is it back up to a national forest or something? Is there a reason why there's no other, or is it because there's not really where to build, is it? Because everything's deep slopes.
Yeah, right there at the end of it.
And is it kind of the top of the mountain? It's up high?
Yeah. Cane Creek Mountain. Yeah.
So now, do you what do you recall?
My papa had about 150 acres, and they divided it up among the kids. And, my mom got 35, 40 acres. And when my mom passed, my dad had the property, and he wanted to know if I wanted to buy the property. And I said, no, I don't want any part of it. I don't like this place because of the snakes, copperheads, and rattlesnakes. I'd had enough of that. So,
and they did a lot in tobacco, didn't they? I remember later on we talked about baling hay and putting hay up, and you used to tell me that tobacco is 5 times worse than that.
Oh yeah.
What do you remember about that? There's probably some good that you remembered, even if it was you didn't want to do it, but.
What I remembered about the tobacco, my brother and I, he was 2 years older than me, and it was our job to take the tobacco up in the loft, start at the loft and work down. It'd be about 5 sticks of tobacco, and we'd have to carry it up there. When I was 5, 6 years old, I hated that stuff. I didn't like to smell it, and I was glad to get out of there.
It was sticky and hot, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was glad my dad moved to Blount County.
Now, one of the stories that I love you telling is you guys had your Pepaw, your granddad, had an old sled that didn't have wheels on it that would be pulled behind the mare. And you being a little fella, tell about how you used to ride that sled. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, my papa had an old mare, and I would take 100 pound of corn, sack of corn on that sled. I remember I was 5 years old, 5, 6, 7, 8. For 3 years, I would take it to the mill. I'd sit on that corn and we'd go 4.5 miles, and which was
No wheels, just sledding, right?
with
Dragging.
two runners, and the mare knew. She basically knew where we were going, and when I got to the fork, all I'd do is pull her to the left, and she'd go right to the middle and stop.
And wait on you to get
And
loaded back.
yeah, they'd grind it up, and I'd sit on it, ride it back home. I did that for 3 years.
That's good.
Uh,
Now, what do you remember? Any words of wisdom? Anything that comes to mind when you think about your granddad or grandma? Down in those days, anything that kind of just stuck with you? Any sayings they used to say?
wow,
I
Lord,
mean, because you give me a bunch of them.
that
Slower and smoke off a bear's butt in the cold February morning. When you gotta get low like you live, bow your neck and get it. Did any of that stuff come from them, or that just stuff you?
that's later.
Okay.
That's been so long ago. I don't remember a whole lot. Young days.
Yeah.
I know my dad was in the CCC camp. He was never there.
Now, for those that don't know, CCC camp, that's where men would go and they're clearing out land for modernization and growth.
That was a government project.
Yeah, taking forests down to make room for progress.
Yeah.
And I remember, that was hard work. You had to, deal with him being gone, and then when he come back, it's good to have him back. Do you remember about what age he was when you came? Now you said come to Blount County. How did that go down, Daddy? How old were you when that transition happened?
9, 10, 11, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, no wonder you got so many memories of that. You was 10 years old up until that point.
yeah.
And that was because Granddaddy Pepaw got from the CCC camp to get hired on at Alcoa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys come up here. He's going to that enemy across town for a little while, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Going to Maryville. He was a Maryville boy. A lot of people don't know that. I'm going to fast forward ahead. Dad, this is where I get in trouble when we get off here, but this is the 1959 state champion basketball for Alcoa. He was the MVP. There was only one in the whole state, and that was him. And Daddy had a tremendous, we'll talk about that, but I tell you what, a lot of those Alcoa folks, I think to this day, didn't know that you had some Maryville blood in you.
No.
Any memories, Dad, that I know we was talking about the other night about talking about Perm Hill and different stuff going on there. You've seen all this progress around through here. Before we get into the next segment, is there anything as far as your upbringing that you want to talk about? Anything that comes to mind before we go into maybe high school?
Well, I was in 13 grade schools. My dad moved from place to place. I'd move into a school and I'd be behind. Move to another section of town, I'd be ahead of people, my classwork. And it was awfully hard. I don't know how I got out of high school.
So really hard, getting caught up academically, but also, make a friend. You don't even have time to make the friends.
It was awfully hard.
Do you think that's why your yo-yo and your basketball became so much of a passion, because that was kind of your friend?
Probably was. It's something I could.
Because you were what year Duncan, 1953 Duncan yo-yo champion?
2 years.
Yeah, back to back. Daddy could do walk the dog, round the world. I remember trying to do the round the world and about put my eye out. you know, so you were a great yo-yo champion. I think we still have the little vest you had.
Yeah, I lost out the second year. They had the tournament up on the Main Street, Maryville, and all I had to do was to round the world to win it. When I went around the world, a string broke, and my Duncan yo-yo went all the way to the courthouse.
Oh,
I lost.
oh.
I got second place because of that.
Was that your first year?
That's the second year.
Oh, because the first year you didn't get to it. You're saying.
I went to the state, the Bayview Theater in
Okay.
Knoxville,
Okay.
and I made it in the finals, but I didn't. I didn't go to Nashville.
Now, when did basketball come around? Because let me just pause for a second. I think this is important. Again, Dad, very modest. Ever since I was little, are you gonna be as good as your daddy? And Dad had a gift, and being a collegiate basketball player, and been around the game my whole life and working with kids. Those of you that know the game know that there's many aspects of the game that you can work at. You can work it. I do think you have to have a little bit of, there's something about being a good shooter. I think I don't know that you can just, if you don't have it a little bit in you, I don't know that you can develop that, right? But you can develop your shot. You can improve that. You can dribble. You can defense. You can work on fundamentals. But something that I don't believe you can learn, and that's the gift of seeing the whole floor. And those players like Magic Johnson and Bob Cousy, and of course we got our director Josiah's a player and a coach, and he knows that no look, that eyes in the back of your head. Jesse Robinette's Pat Robinette, Jesse, shout out to Jesse, Pat Robinette, well-known athlete around here. And whenever I'd see him, he'd see Dad, he'd go, and I was like, "What's that, Dad? What's that mean?" And he talked about how Dad broke up from the block to the foul line and got a pass at the high post and didn't even look and hit Lincoln Felter on a backdoor layup, and he didn't even look, kept going. So and Dad, you have some hops for a light-skinned brother. I understand you go up and he could dunk it, catch it at the bottom of the net. Like I said, very talented. But Dad, when did you know either A, you had a gift of being special in basketball, or when did you fall in love with the game? Because I remember you telling stories about your dad kind of thought you was losing your marbles because you used to sleep with your basketball.
Oh yeah,
which is something you taught me.
That's my mom.
Okay, so
matter of fact, I was playing at Alcoa, and I'd take basketball bed with me. Coach Osborne was my coach. He said, "Take that ball bed with you and dream basketball." Well, my mom thought I was losing it, so she calls Coach Osborne and wants to know what the deal is. so he tells her,
Talking about Coach Vernon Osborne Gymnasium.
Yeah. But, Rollo King was my coach in the 6th grade at Fort Craig. That's where I got started.
Okay.
And
was there a play, Daddy? Was there something that you did that everybody's like, wow? Or was there anything? What about the game did you cause you to fall in love at that 6th grade at Fort Craig with Coach King?
Well, I was playing with 8th graders. I was starting.
Were you pretty good size then too?
No, I wasn't very big. I wasn't like the other guys, But I could shoot a little bit in the 6th grade, and I could dribble. And I don't know, I just fell in love with the game. I was in the boys club, and when I was in the 8th grade, and Coach Osborne saw me, he was in charge of basketball at the boys club, and that's where I saw him, and he liked what I was doing, and so I eventually ended up at Alcoa. We won't get into all that, but
Are you saying that was a little bit of recruiting before it was supposed to be? A little sweetening up?
I don't know if it'd be recruiting. I just
Dad, you're past the statute of limitation. It's only been about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll change the channel. But got to Alcoa and very successful. Dad, I know you don't want to talk about it, but Morrow was giving Jay Kirk yesterday a hard time. 2 shout-outs to Alcoa State champions. Kidding him about breaking your rebound record. How many rebounds did you have in high school?
Wow, and I lost count.
Is it 1,900, Daddy?
It's in between 15, 1,700, something. I don't remember.
How many did you average a game about?
I couldn't tell you, but
It's 10 to 15 a game.
I averaged 20 a game in the state tournament. That don't happen.
Yeah. And so you in your 58 team, when you were a junior, you said that they were actually maybe arguably a better team than the 59 team.
We had an outstanding ball club my junior year. Jimmy Dunn went to UT on scholarship. And
for basketball?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He could play.
Tough.
We were in the regional tournament, and he got his nose broke. We had a 10, 12-point lead in the fourth quarter, and he couldn't play anymore. Momentum just changed, and we got knocked off. Lenore City won it that year, and I think we beat them that year. I think we lost 3 ball games that junior year.
Now, Daddy, you know I can't let it slip. Now you're gonna have to talk about that Donnybrook. Talk about that big brawl.
Oh,
where was that? Lake City.
You shouldn't. Different
era.
You shouldn't bring that.
That's good, buddy. Joe's want to hear it. He can cut it out. You can cut it out, can't you, Joe? So so y'all are at Lake City. This is 59.
59.
And what happened?
Well, they hadn't lost a game. They had won 50-some games on that floor, and we were beating them. Oh, I was on the bench. Coach had taken me out. You know, we had the lead. They had a big 6'7" boy that stepped on my feet all night and grabbed my shirt. You know.
Yeah.
And he was about 10 feet from me, and Gary Hart was trying to guard him, and these popped Gary, and that just set me off. And I went out there and started the office fight, and I to this day I wish I'd never done that.
Hey, it was good though, wasn't it? Who'd you grab? Was it chaos, Daddy? The whole gym?
The whole gym was on the floor fighting.
And who'd you grab and put on your back?
Hugh Dawson. I grabbed him.
All right, Hugh, we're gonna validate this.
I was getting hit in the back of the head. I said, "Get behind me," you know. I'll never got on the bus that night, and Coach says, "We're through. It's over. Right? You've cost us the whole year.
They're gonna suspend us."
Oh, I was sick.
Well, I remember another episode. You're all up at Walland, and this is back where they had the old vapor lights. There wasn't about 2 lights or 3 lights in the whole gym. It wasn't like these big LEDs now. And you come down and dunked it, and it didn't quite go like you wanted.
The back of the rim, went up and busted that light out. I didn't play no more that night.
But you end up doing good. You end up going to the state tournament. Obviously, shout out to Pete Somerville and Richard Holt and I know all these guys since I was a kid, man.
Freddie Marsh.
Hugh Dotson, who's also one of my reverse clients. Freddie Marsh, Bucky McGill, Wayne Dixon, Coach Abbott, assistant coach, and a handful of others. Pete Somerville. What any memories, Daddy, that you have of the state tournament that you'd like to share that just come to mind? Mom was in here earlier and she was talking about how they made the big sign, first in aluminum, first in the state, and stuff like that. Is there anything about the state tournament that you recall that's just something to bring up? Maybe something way it made you feel?
Well, we were playing Kingsport. I don't know if it's quarterfinals or semifinals, and they were big. Oh, they were 6'7", 6'6". Duncan warmed up. I'm standing there at half court watching them dunk. And Coach Osborne come out there and says, "Get over here and sit down." He said, "You're through." I said, "Coach, I'm just watching them dunk." Because we were dunking on the other end, you know. But I thought, God, those guys are big.
Yeah. He knew. He's smart.
Yeah.
He needed to change that mindset.
He's a psychologist, boy.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from him. A lot.
So he obviously he put you back in the game.
Oh yeah,
he just had to check your oil a little bit.
But he wanted me to get my mind on the game, not watching them.
So you go and
we beat them by 15.
And you run into big Meigs County. I remember. I'll tell you a funny side note. Joe, you remember Dean Jarvis? Shout out to Big Dean, State Farms, and Dean fought cancer, had to lose part of his leg, and we were at the Don DeVoe basketball camp. I'd gone to Tennessee Tech the week before, and you'd said, "Hey, did you get enough?" And I said something like, "No, Daddy, He said, "Well, let's go." And Daddy took me to the Don DeVoe basketball camp, and I introduced myself, and they said, "Well," and they called me out, Lauren Riddick, Alcoa, Tennessee, and there's about 4 or 5 Meigs County boys there. And they remember Jim Riddick's name. "You Riddick's boy?" And they had watched, they had a really good team at that time. They were going to state tournament, and I think they had watched that trying to get ready for it. But that was cool. Anything about the state tournament itself, other than lifting up that gold ball and knowing you're the best in the state? They shut the city down to follow you. I do know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then there was a guy by the name of Madison Brooks there, if I'm not mistaken, or was it one of his assistants that was at the state tournament, Daddy? Do you recall?
Don't recall, man.
But you had a choice. Now you'll like this, Josiah. You guys might remember Javin Carter. Shout out to Javin. Looking forward to him doing great things at Penn State. Ironically, you had 2 scholarship offers. To who?
Mississippi State, Penn State.
Oh, 3 more than. And you had several.
I had several.
Okay. See, there you go. But 2 of them, Penn State and East Tennessee State. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was cool that you were the MVP and Jobs MVP. Any comments you want to? I mean, that's kind of down, but while we're on it, any comment that you want to make about seeing your little brothers go back-to-back state champions and watching Jobin play?
Just watching him play. As soon as I saw that kid, I knew he was
special, different level,
big time. He had it all.
And
he's probably the best player I know of in Buck County.
Yeah, he's tough.
He tough. He had it outside, inside. He could play defense.
That Mamba mentality, wanting to win, and games on the line, give him the ball.
Yeah, let me have it and get out of the way.
Yeah, that's right. So before we go into the next segment, Dad, just finishing out, you played 4 years at East Tennessee State University, Buccaneers. Had a great run up there. I know you talked about had a chance to go to the Sweet 16 and in the nation, and Dad got flu. Wasn't able to play, and that's something that he had to deal with, and we all do as athletes. There's always those games that we wish it would have been something that didn't happen, whether it's a missed shot or being sick or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you played professional basketball, Knoxville Trojans, and actually played on the court with. Now I don't know if y'all ever heard of a guy by the name of Wilt Chamberlain, but I believe you played a pickup game with him or something, didn't you, Pop?
Yeah, they let's see, Philadelphia Warriors, St. Louis Hawks played exhibitions up at East Tennessee State. And I would sit in the bleachers there and watch them work out, you know. And, Wilt Chamberlain and Bob Pettit, Cliff Hagan, Kentucky boy. He played with the Hawks.
Legendary, three legendary.
Come here, we're going to take them on. 2-on-2. He said, make it, take it. He shoots head of the circle and makes it. So we're going to play them 2-on-2. I hit 2 and Cliff hits 3 buckets, and we beat them. Hagan says, let's go. And Chamberlain got mad at us. He got mad at us. Said, no, we're through. We'll quit.
Yeah, get your title.
We just left the gym.
Hey, too many people can say that, Pop.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then you had a chance to play St. Louis Hawks, travel, whatnot.
I could have been the 10th man. No contract. Could have got bumped next town if they needed to guard.
Yeah, but you might have also made it to all-star status and in the NBA.
$5,000. But, you know, that was pretty good back then. A teacher started out at $39.50.
But there was one thing.
But
you had a wife.
I had a wife, and I had to finish school. So I didn't go.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, look, if you had to say just last thing for this segment, when you think about your basketball career as a player, what did basketball do to help you be a better man and a better teacher and coach? Anything to come to mind? You know, obviously you taught the game, but from a player's perspective, in hindsight, when you look at it, anything that comes to mind that obviously discipline, you know, of achieving your goal and working at it, but anything that comes to mind there?
No, not really. Being a coach for 35 years, I really enjoyed working with kids, watching them progress, and a lot of satisfaction seeing them achieve goals that they set, you know.
Well, that's a good segue. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So, listen, hey, this has been an awesome first segment with Coach Riddick. And, man, appreciate y'all being here. And, again, subscribe, share this with your friends. Homes and Loans Podcast, where we make a positive difference through collaboration. And looking forward to getting to the second segment. We'll get with Mr. Riddick about his coaching, teaching, and some of those good things. And then we'll finish it out with some great mindset. Appreciate y'all being here today. To bring to you our Homes and Loans podcast series. All right, Joe. It's something near and dear to my heart. I know it's going to make a positive impact in your life and someone that you know and care about. I encourage you to share this series with anyone that fits that description. I had the vision of bringing together like-minded people that are positive, that are forced for good, not evil, in different industries, different arenas of business, whether it's educators, entrepreneurs, attorneys, CPAs, financial planners, real estate professionals, and of course, mortgage professionals and beyond. This is just an amazing series. It's going to make a difference. And the idea is that we bring these folks together so that you can enjoy it and get something out of it. And we have 3 basic segments as our format. The first segment is where someone's from. You know, where were they born, and maybe some childhood memories that they carry to this day. Number 2, their business, how you might be able to reach them, maybe some tips and tricks that gives you a glimpse behind the curtain in what they do that can help you. And of course, how you reach them. And the third, I'm really excited about because that's where the gold nuggets come in. Those nuggets that we all call on to get through adversity. You know, we all face adversity. And we always ask the question, hey, how do you balance your professional and personal life? And we even ask a question, who would you have coffee with? You know, some historical figure. But the main crux of it is, how do we get through adversity? How do you look at the glass half full and not half empty? And so many other things. So we encourage you to share this. You can go to homesandloanspodcast.com. And that's A-N-D spelled out, homesandloanspodcast.com. and you can see the whole series. Man, we hope you enjoy it. Share this with someone you care about. It's going. All right, we're here with Jim Riddick, aka my daddy, aka Peepaw, known as my. It's what the grand dogs and my kids and Laura's son, who's also at East Tennessee State University. So Laura went to ETSU, or see, Dad went to ETSU. I went to ETSU. My sister went to ETSU, and now we have your grandson, 3 generation, going to ETSU. So I thought that's pretty cool. And Lucy may go there for nursing school. So
yeah, she may.
You never know. So shout out to the governors. Shout out to the Buccaneers. Governors too, William Blount. But Dad, let's talk about. So when you got out of college, you graduated 64-ish, 63, 64. Let's go from there. Did you immediately come back and start helping Coach O? No, you stayed at ETSU and coached freshmen for a little bit.
I coached freshman Tommy Woods. I helped recruit Tommy from Halls High School.
Now let's park there for just a minute. Definitely want to brag on my dad. Me and you, I've been connected, married into the Black family for 30 years with my lovely wife, Missy. And my dad's always been an excellent man, doesn't see color. And the first ever African-American to go to East Tennessee State University to play sports, or maybe even go to school at all, but definitely to play sports. Tommy Woods from an all-black school here in Alcoa called Hall High School. And my dad was the catalyst for breaking that color barrier. Tommy's great friend. Shout out to you, Tommy. There's actually a plaque outside the men's locker room commemorating what Tommy did for our program and for the black race. And that's awesome, Dad. I'm very proud about that. So talk about your freshman coaching Tommy.
Oh, Coach Maxey was assistant coach. He had the freshmen, and of course he really didn't want to coach freshmen. He had to scout a lot, He said, "Won't you take them?" I said, "All right, I'll take them." I'll take them to Western Carolina. Tommy scored 30-some points, had 5 dunks.
Special.
They might have been 50, 100 students in the gym first half. And how the word got out, there's a black kid that's playing, is wiring it out. Well, next thing I knew, the gym's about full, second half. And I'll never forget, the last time he dunked, this boy undercut him. He just hung on the rim. Wait till he got out of the way and dropped down. I took him out.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid he was going to get hurt.
And Daddy, you said, now look, you said and he could take off from the foul line.
Oh, he could leave
and
the
hit his
foul
backboard line. Had his head on the backboard.
And hit his head on the backboard.
Yeah. And went on to be a great player.
He did that in high school.
Yeah.
His senior year at Hall.
Yeah.
And
well, I know he loves you.
Oh, he could jump.
And he played East Tennessee State, and then he went on. I know he played for the Kentucky Colonels and maybe a few other ABA teams, and ended up retiring from Ford up there. So shout out to Uncle Tommy. So how long were you the freshman coach up there, Dave, before you came back home?
I stayed a quarter.
Okay.
But after a quarter there, we packed up.
Basically a season. You stayed the first season and come on home.
Middle of the season, and I think I came to Blount County.
And did Coach O have a spot for you then?
I was the boys club director.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
For a couple of years, and then I went with the.
Now, is there any war stories you want to tell about your boys club experience? Because there's some characters back then.
Oh, I had some dandies.
Some people could shoot some pool, couldn't they?
Oh, I'll never forget this little kid, 9 years old, had to tiptoe to shoot pool. He said, "You want to play?" I said, "Yeah." So he racked. We playing 9-ball. I didn't know what 9-ball was. he busted the balls and cleared the table. He wiped it out. He said, rack them. So I had to rack it. Then he had to show me how to rack it. So he busted again, and he racked the table. He just wiped it out. I said, I'm not playing you anymore. So,
That's good.
And I can't remember that kid's name, but he could play. Get on his tiptoe and sideways. And
now, when were you also the manager of the Springbrook pool during this time? Were you wearing two hats, or did that come a little later? Seemed like there might have been some overlap there.
I was at Alcoa then.
Okay.
When I went to the pool. I was at 3 years in Blount County. I left the boys club, went to Blount County School and driver ed for 3 years. And I went to Alcoa for 2 or 3 years. And then I became an assistant manager with Coach Osborne. He was manager for 8 or 10 years, I guess.
And so you went to, when you came back from ETSU, went to the boys club, and then you went, what was your first teaching position? Was that at Townsend?
It was Wallen and Townsend.
That's
right.
Right.
Half a day at each.
So
half a day at
Wallen,
Townsend and half a day
Townsend, driver ed on these. Now, if you've ever been to the Smoky Mountains, which is where we're close to, those curvy roads that go through the mountains before you get there, that's what Dad taught kids to drive in driver ed in. And then I guess, let's see, had you gone, you was at Alcoa before Wallen, or did you go, because you went from Townsend to Porter, right?
I went I went 3 years Blount County schools. Then I went to Alcoa, driver ed, freshman basketball coach. Then I went to Townsend 1 year, went to Porter for the rest of the time, then William Blount.
Okay. So let me ask you this: when you, when you were at Alcoa, and went to, I know that your Townsend boys are very special to you. Yeah. We talk about teams, and God rest his soul, Coach Walls. Well, it's a good thing I didn't know about that Townsend Friendsville stuff. I'd have probably got in trouble because I'd have brought it up to him a little bit. Never knew that while I was playing for him. Dad, we'll get to that in a minute, but as I recall, Friendsville was about a 30 to 40 point favorite or something. They were supposed to beat you.
They beat us 40-some points
earlier in the year.
Right before the tournament. Coach Padge and I went down to Friendsville and scouted them.
And came up with a plan.
And I came up with a plan that, like, he ran a 2-3 matchup. And I figured out how to overload, kick it back real quick, hit that seam.
Layup.
And I said it worked.
Like Morristown West did on us.
Yeah. But we upset
them. You didn't tell me that.
We upset them.
It's a good thing I didn't know some of this stuff. That's good. Yeah, big time, and made the papers, and that's a special group. They're still very close to this day. So shout out to the mighty Townsend Tigers. And then you went to Wildwood, Porter, and that's where I started remembering stuff. And great players. Shout out to Tom Hatcher. What do you think about one of your players running for government politics, huh?
Oh, how
He's
about
done
that?
Awesome. We need to probably reach out to Tommy Joe and get him in here. But I know you used to love the way your Wildwood boys would get on the floor and hustle.
We'd get after you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and arch rival Catholic.
Oh, gosh.
I'd love for you to I want you to tell a story about Catholic, anything you want, and I want you to talk about the Cell Creek boy and the Brackett boys.
Oh, Lord. Wish you hadn't brought that up.
So hey, listen, you get to
Uh,
plead the fifth. If you don't want to talk about it, we
well,
can go on. But I think it's
Sail
good
Creek
stuff.
was #1 in the state.
Now Porter, rural town, rural area, rural school, single A, very small, and Dad was playing the #1 team in the state, Sail Creek.
Oh, yeah. I had Mike and Pat Brackett, twins, that played for me. Really talented kids and hard nosed. And this Sail Creek had a big 6'6" center that was all stater.
Coach's son.
Yeah, coach's son. And I put one of them in front of him, one behind him. When they'd throw it in, they just sandwich him. Well, the coach didn't like that. So we upset him and beat him.
Yeah, yeah.
But our bracket boy wore him out.
I love that
that's
story.
basketball, you
It
know?
is. Well, I mean, one thing, Dad, that not nearly the coaching experience you've had, and I'd say not even the coach, but I've had a round or two and loved to coach. And I definitely get that from you of being able to look and find, and you've helped me many times over the years of just strategizing, as far as, how to beat people.
Mm-hmm.
You beat them at their own game, play chess while they're playing checkers, if you will.
Yeah.
Those unicorns, or not, the leprechauns. Oh man, I didn't know much, but I knew we didn't like them too much. And with all due respect, I about said Notre Dame people. Well, wait, the Knoxville version of Notre Dame, were Catholic high school, and they had a guy that would ride a unicycle. Basketball in one hand, he's on a unicycle dressed up like a leprechaun, leading out the mighty Catholic high school basketball team. Very good team. They recruited. They had all the advantages a little country school didn't have. In fact, one player went on and signed a full scholarship with Kentucky Wildcats. So, Dad, tell your favorite story. I know what you're probably going to tell, but tell one of your Catholic stories that you'd like to tell.
Oh, that was the kid that went to Kentucky. What, he's about 6'3".
Gettelfinger, and then I remember they used to piss you off because you'd be talking to your players before a game. They'd always want to come in and shake your hand.
Yeah. But Tommy Hatcher was my point guard. He wasn't but 5 foot
5'7" with heels on,
2,
maybe.
3, 4. Gelfinger 6'3", 6'4" point guard. I'd pick him up at the 10-second line and overplay him. Split that right foot.
Yeah.
I'd make him charge you. And he charged him 3 times. Had that boy's tears in his eyes. I remember that so well. Tommy had a heart
Yeah.
big as yours.
Yeah.
Just about.
Yeah, he'd run through a brick wall, wouldn't
he? Yes, he's a go-getter.
That's good.
I really enjoyed that night.
Now, what about that fellow that kept wanting to interrupt you, and you had that little wine thing up in your palm, little buzzer?
We were playing Catholic in the regional at Maryville College. I had a buzzer.
Now, I'm going to pause for a minute because some people may not know my generation, but back in the day, there was a little ring thing. It would sit on your hand. It was probably about that big, and you could turn it, wind the spring up, and there was a little on the end of it. And if you would squeeze somebody, it would like either shock you or vibrate you, but
it'd buzz.
Yeah, buzz you.
A big center.
Yeah, and they kept interrupting you before the game. They'd come in, what they do to showing off, and really probably to mess up the strategy for the game. So Dad had something for him.
Yeah, place was packed, and a lot of my Porter kids and students knew what I was going to do. And he'd come over and shook my hand. That thing went off. He went bonkers.
He got so excited he couldn't tell the rest of his teammates
couldn't
what was
tell
going on.
their coach what was going on.
Yeah. He thought he'd
But
lost his mind.
I think we got beat that night about 2 points.
That's good.
Yeah.
Not that, but the story. But you did take Porter to the state tournament,
Did.
which is maybe
Only time.
yeah, only time, and did amazing things. And Dad went on to William Blount High School. Hard to believe that school's been around 40 years, Daddy.
I know.
But I remember going there very first. Just always thinking I had the VIP tickets, right? I remember ETSU and going up to see Coach Brooks, and I get to go to the Dome before it was built. And I remember going to William Blount right after they probably just gave you your keys, and it still smelled like new paint. I'll still remember that, and it was the first school I think that had the big guardhouse and a fence. They called it the prison. It was pretty strict. But we had some great teams, great runs. I loved playing for you, and sometimes that was a challenge. I should have got Mom talking about refereeing us, at home. We're watching the VCR tapes. Yeah, that's VCR. No, run it back and forth. And, well, you wasn't boxing him out. Yeah, I was. And we're looking at the same thing, and Mom always found a way to put us together. Daddy, when you think about your William Blount years as an assistant or as a head coach eventually, is there any story you want to tell, anything that comes to mind that would be something to throw out there?
Being a Bill Wallace's assistant, I really enjoyed working with him. And I miss those days. He was an outstanding person. And I couldn't have had a better guy to work for.
I talked to a lot of the players, and over the years, and these characters, the guy draw the cartoon. And I know this wasn't possible, but I swear I've said this before, Daddy, that he would be in what we would call the coach's box today, and leaning in his head could be over the middle of the court. I know that was impossible, but it felt like that. We call him Big Daddy, and he would, I wish I could give you a piece of my heart, and it's about diving on the floor and playing hard nose. And I know that when I went to Walter State East Tennessee, there was not one player that had a harder nose, and a lot of that had to do with, that kind of stuff. But, we had a good time, and I know that you had a lot of great players you enjoyed coaching, Mitch Parker and Dunlap and Satterfield and those guys, and then later Bart Crane and Brian Hill, those guys, and different things. So anything else comes to mind, Daddy, about your William Blount days that you that comes to mind that you want to talk about?
Oh, I can't think of anything.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. All good stuff.
Good stuff. And as a coach, you coach, but you taught for well over 3 decades. Many kids. Like I said, I've told you many times when anybody comes in and they go, well, I knew your daddy, or I had your daddy in class. The deal is half done, y'all. Like, there's no way I'm losing that deal because they know you and they know how you raised me. Any thoughts about teaching, driver ed, gymnastics, the impact that you made? I know you said many times you enjoy those things, and there's always seems like there's somebody saying, tell your daddy I say hello, anything that comes to mind or any comments you got on that?
I don't. So many good things happened over the years. I wouldn't know where to start.
Well, I've got one of many. Now, we've talked about this before in another episode. If you compare the timeout generation and the ass whoop generation, this one over here is doing a lot better for the most part. And if you acted up in school, you got paddled. That's unconscionable now. People don't even think about it, but it's the way it was. And Daddy, I'm just telling you, I'm thankful that a lot of times they talk about the little rascals and they have the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. Well, there was none. I mean, I had that, but above the angel, I had a picture of my daddy going, "I'll get you," with a paddle, and Daddy had this big plexiglass paddle with holes in it. And when it would go through the air, you could hear it'd whistle. And if I got a paddle in at school, I got one at home. So I've had many boys say, "What do you say, Dave? What would you say? Look at that what in the wall?
Look at that hole in the wall.
Look at that hole in the wall. Look at that crack in the wall. Pow!" And but no, I'm appreciative, Daddy, and some of the best students is the ones that you paddled their canoe on. But on behalf of all of them, Daddy, thank you for being a great part of the community. I'm very proud of my name. I hope that you feel the same. I've carried it on good, but I enjoy being the son of Coach Jim Riddick. To this day, I get to ride that, and I'm thankful of it. But hey, this has been great. We're going to come back with a final episode of with Coach Jim Riddick and talk about mindset and how you get through adversity. So we enjoy it. Again, subscribe, share, like. I know this is rich, and I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Hey, folks. I just want to take a moment and thank you for looking at our podcast. I hope you're enjoying it. We truly have enjoyed putting it together for you. And I want to take just a moment to talk about the Lauren Riddick team, Homes and Loans. My mortgage practice has been going around for over 25 years at the time that we're putting this together. And I'm so proud of that. We've been able to help clients and referral partners all over the country. Texas, California, Colorado, Washington State, Florida, everywhere in between. And of course, our beloved home here in the East Tennessee Smoky Mountains area. I love helping our clients. Whether it's a home or a loan, we'd love to help you. Now, my mortgage practice specializes in traditional forward lending, whether you need VA, FHA, rural development, conventional, we absolutely can help you. But I want to take a moment to talk about something near and dear to my heart, the often misunderstood, wildly popular home equity conversion mortgage, reverse mortgage. Now that's available for folks that are 62 years or better, for yourself or someone that you know that you care about that needs to know about this amazing program. Whether you want to use it as a leverage point to give warm-handed gifts instead of cold-handed gifts, live more independently and make sure that you're not burdening your family, or just put together a line of access that you can use for down the road that has unbelievable benefits. Love to share with you more about this amazing program. And just in short, how cool would it be to have an optional payment that did not have to get paid back until up to 1 year after you pass away, or up to 150 years of age? It'd be pretty cool. Therefore, letting the house owe the debt and not you. It's been over 1 million facilitated since Ronald Reagan got behind it in the late 80s, including my beloved parents, Jim and Edna Riddick. Hey, if you want to know more, go to reversewisdom.com. That's reversewisdom.com. There's a lot of good information. Or just reach out. We'd love to share more about this amazing program or some of our more traditional mortgage products. Of course, real estate as well through my lovely wife, Missy. All right, Lauren Riddick back with our final segment with Jim Riddick, coach, father, parent, husband, leader in the community, star athlete. You got all kinds of basketball, mandolin player, golfer. Daddy, I'm going to ask you, if it comes to mind, what was it like raising me and Laura? What was it like being, because I know you talked, it was about 10 years before you had me. You guys you were almost thinking about adopting and stuff, and here I come. That was part of the reason why I was a little rotten, I guess. But what was it like raising a son and a daughter?
Oh, well, we've been married about 9 years and hadn't had any kids. And my wife and I decided we were going to adopt. Well, it wasn't long, Mom got pregnant. So, that was a highlight in my life.
And I know having a daughter
And then I had a daughter.
Yeah, that makes me appreciate how much. I mean, I know I'm your son and you love me, but there's a special bond with a little girl and her daddy. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Different, but it's special.
it's
And
special. Both very special.
what I know your two hobbies. I mean, for one, when we didn't touch on it initially, but you used to love to go watch westerns. Was the 5 cent western or 10 cent when you go up here and watch Roy Rogers and all that kind of stuff? You've always enjoyed horses
Oh yeah.
and had horses. You had folks. Daddy had a horse. He has had a horse the last 2-3 years, I guess, but a horse that made it to 40 years old.
Two
Wow.
mares made it to 40.
Okay. And of course we didn't ride them and they didn't make babies. They had it made. And but Daddy, I think from your liking westerns, you always like watching westerns and enjoying. Mama showed the Tennessee walking horses, and you were the groomer, and I remember all that kind of stuff. But what did you love the most and miss the most about your horses? And then we'll talk about golfing and mandolin.
Well, your mom and I always loved to go to the mountains and ride. I mean, we'd do it for hours. That's something I miss to this day. It's hard to explain the feeling to get away from everybody. And I'll never forget the last time we went, it started snowing on us. And you could just hear the snow hitting the ground. To this day, I can hear it. Stuff like that I miss.
Yeah.
And I just love horses.
Did you miss trying to load up some of the ornery ones? Folks, I have got a video. We got to find it. But there's an 8mm film of Daddy and about 15 dudes trying to load an ornery horse that did not want to go into the horse trailer. I forgot what it was, Daddy. But that little color 8mm of all you guys somewhere trying to pull a roper in.
When I bought that mare,
Yeah,
that young mare,
yeah.
Oh gosh, the guy had just had his truck painted, and he was worried to death to go mess his truck.
Yeah, for good reason.
Yeah,
for good reason. But you'd rode, and we had horses forever, and I remember Dad, we would breed them, we'd ride them, we'd break them, and I was the one that would ride on the saddle, and Dad would be in the back, holding on while we're breaking them. You want to tell the Chico story?
I'll let you.
Huh? You just give some color on it. Well, we had a horse, and I wanted a little pony. Well, Daddy bought a pony called Chico, and we didn't have a pony saddle and girdle that held the saddle on it, but we had a small horse saddle. But that meant that it was hanging about that much. So, needless to say, about a wild pony, about 5 trots, and I'm on the bottom of the pony going, Daddy, help me, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And you come to my rescue, didn't you, Pop?
Yeah.
Good stuff. But you loved horsing. Had many great horses over the years. You've been playing golf, pretty daggone good golfer. Probably one of the things, Dad, that's amazing to me is many of you, my clients, if you've seen Dad, him and Mom, they'll perform, and Dad taught himself to play the mandolin. And I wish we had it here. I'd love for you to play a few strokes, but I think the thing that it's amazing to me, I think about how you taught yourself, and talk about that time you were at that Steve Kaufman, I believe it was camp or something at Maryville College, and the whole room, the guy asked the question.
Roland White was the instructor. Steve Kaufman camp, Maryville College. There's 35 people in the class. All of us have mandolins. He said, how many people can read music? Well, hands go up. Mine didn't go up. He said, Roland's about 5 foot tall, little short dude. He said, you can't read? music? I said, no, sir. Don't. I play by ear, and I don't play much. He said, what can you play? And I said, it's getting a little embarrassing, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause,
He's always maybe picking on you or something.
yeah, and he said, come up here. I thought, oh, shit. So I go up there. He said, what can you play? I said, I can play a Shokin Farewell.
It's like an old Civil War song. It's real cool.
He said, you can? I said, a little bit. How many can play a Shokin Farewell? Nobody's hand goes up. He said, I'm going to back you. Kick it off. I'm nervous now, you know. So I kicked it
Got a
off.
little
And
rhythm.
finally, I relaxed. And he played rhythm. He said, you don't have to learn how to read music. I said, thank you. So
Well, Daddy, you are really good at it. And I know that probably similar to Mom, it's a stress release for you. It keeps your hands moving and stuff.
yeah, I would love to have that when I was coaching. It'd have been a really stressful.
At that time, it was taking care of the horses and just working your butt off, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Digging fences and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What I just thought about something. You know, when you were at Fort Craig and Coach King, there was something about the game that you liked, gave you confidence. You know, playing against the 8th graders or whatnot. Was there a similarity between that and that moment that you just shared of confidence of like, man, I just got out in front of a whole group of people, and the guys pretty much said, I'm pretty good, you know, to be able to get up in front of people and play a Shogun Farewell, and they didn't even know what it was. Is there a similarity there if you kind of spend a little time thinking about that?
I really, it just comes,
Yeah.
you know.
Kind of like this?
Yeah. I play by ear. I just don't read music. I can hear a melody and pick up on a song.
You don't think about it.
It just comes natural for some reason.
So let me ask you a question. So when you're popping up from the block to the high post, does it just come natural? You don't think about it?
Just comes natural.
That's good. Well, Dave, let me ask you this. Is there any question I haven't asked you that I should, or anything that you want anybody out there to know? Now, if you want to brag on your son for a minute, you can. Mama didn't do that, but you could if you want to one-up her. Anything you want to say, Pop? Or the coffee question?
That's a tough question.
Well, you come back to, you know, who would you have coffee with, and what would you talk about? You could have coffee with Wilt Chamberlain, talk smack to him. But anybody comes to mind, there's no right and wrong answer, but somebody that only you know, could be somebody from your past, could be somebody famous that you never met. Who would you have coffee with, and what would you talk about?
Oh gosh, man.
You got Coach Brooks. You got Osborne. Roy Rogers. Maybe some of your heroes from back in the day. Any of that.
Coach Osborne.
Okay.
He was my second father.
And what would you talk to him about? What would y'all talk about?
Well, Coach and
or what would you not talk about?
You know, besides playing for him and coaching with him, we had a farm together. We farmed together. And, I could write a book on Coach Osborne. And to this day, I miss him.
You won't tell me.
He was a very special person. And one night we were playing somebody. Halftime I had 20-some points and 12 or 14 rebounds. And he'd set you down and start chewing your honey. And he got to me, he started chewing on me. And Hoover Stinnett, our manager, said, Coach, Jim's got 20. He said, "You get out of here." I knew from that day on that
Psychology.
he's a psychologist.
Yeah.
He works
Kind of like you're watching these guys dunk.
He
You're through.
on your brain. You know, he's smooth as silk. And
he also played music.
yeah, we played together. His later years, his last few weeks of his life, your mom and I would go to the rest home and play with him. And he knew the song. He could sing 20-some religious songs just word for word. He loved doing it. And I miss that so much.
That's good. You want to tell the story? I think it's funny. It'd be good to tell a story about the brakes.
About the what?
The brakes on that truck.
Oh,
or
God.
lack thereof.
Yeah, we had bought a farm down on Hutton Ridge Road, and Costner England had a 49
This is a car dealership.
pulpwood truck, $150. So we bought it. And started driving it off the parking lot, and he hit those brakes, and it just squealed, metal to metal. I said, "Coach, there's no brakes on this thing." I said,
with no load in it yet or nothing.
No, there's no load. We drove it all the way to Hutton Ridge, you know, and we loaded it up with pulpwood and brought it to Alcoa. No brakes. Lord have mercy.
How would he slow down long enough for you to get in
gear
there?
it down.
Did you have to get out and stop traffic?
I had to do that coming off of Mint Road. He'd put it in a ditch to slow it down. I'd stop traffic. He'd get down there and get it on the road. I'd get in the truck, and here we go.
So let me ask you, Daddy. So one thing I used to do with all the horses is we always had to get hay. And I hated getting hay. It was awful. You'd think you'd wear, in the middle of summer, hot, you'd think you're wearing shorts and t-shirts. No, long shirt, long pants, because you get eat up with the straw. But as a 12-year-old, I'm driving the truck and following you. So I guess in your back of your mind, you think, well, if me and Coach O did it with no brakes, my 12-year-old son can drive this other truck with brakes. Right? What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man. Dad, this has been great, man. Thank you. Anything else you want to say?
Right off, I can't. This guy,
pretty good till the moon gets full. You love me.
I can't.
Hey, it's all good. Love you, Pop.
Love you.
All right, man. See you guys. Good stuff. Thank you, Coach Riddick. That's good stuff, Pop.